What is up, my Shadowverse soldiers, and welcome back to another Shadowverse Evolve video. Alright, so we are back with another set of Set 5 reveals. I'm very excited to talk about Forestcraft today and see what the new cards are. Are we going to have any new King Elephant support, or even Beauty and the Beast? I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and figure out and see what's going on. Alright, so we have our first card, Automaton Soldier. He's a 3-cost 3/4, he has Ward, and when he comes into play, you put 2 puppets into your EX area. Alright, if you didn't watch the Dragoncraft Set 5 reveals and you don't know what a puppet follower is, it's a token follower that's a 1 cost and it has 1/1 stats, and then it has Rush. So I don't know if there's any neutral class follower that might integrate with these puppets, or there might be in the Forestcraft class. Let's see what these other cards hold. Alright, and then we have Apostle of Unkilling, so it's a 3-cost 3/3, you can evolve him for 1. Let's go ahead and see what his evolve does. Okay, and we have Apostle of Unkilling Evolve. So on Evolve, you search for a Hunter follower with the original cost of 2 or less from your deck and put it onto the field. So like I always say, deck thinning is deck winning, and the fact that you can just go ahead and get a 2-cost follower that's a Hunter from your deck and put it into play, and then if it has the fanfare effect, it's going to go ahead and pop off 2. I like cards like that that just, get a 2-for-1 special. Alright, moving on, we have Disciple of Unkilling. She's a 2-cost 1/3. She comes into play, you look at the top card of your deck. If there's a Hunter card among them, you may put it to your hand. So it looks like the Forestcraft line is going to be focusing on the Hunter class. We had a couple Hunter cards that came out in the previous sets, but now we're able to incorporate these new cards and have some more cantrips, just like Disciple of Unkilling, to go ahead and find more Hunters in your deck. Okay, so we have Fairy Torrent, so it's a 1-cost quick spell. You can choose up to 2 fairy followers from your field and put them to your EX area. If you put them to your EX area, by this effect, you add 2 to your leader's health. And look at that, we got some more fairy token spam support. Unfortunately, we're not able to put our fairy tokens into our EX area, but we are able to put our fairy followers into our EX area. So we have cards like Blessed Fairy Dancer and Arya that we're able to put back into our EX area, if there's a space, by the way, because I know once you play Arya, there's going to be a full board and then full EX area. But you're really going to be focusing on cards like Blessed Fairy Dancer to be buffing all your fairies at any point in time, and then you gain that 2 health, so you can do it in quick timing, which is pretty cool. I can also see this in a quick timing where they target, a fairy that you swung with, and you put it into your EX area, that being like, the main one I can see is being Blessed Fairy Dancer, since she buffs everybody up so much. They swing at Blessed Fairy Dancer to go ahead and get rid of her, and then you put her back into your EX area, save her, and then you get 2 health out of it. But if you know any more good fairy targets, I'm not a huge fairy token spam, person. So if you know any better targets, or like any more targets to focus on the fairy token spam line, then let me know down in the comments below. But moving on, we have Flower Doll. She's a 2-cost 2/2 with some pretty cool art. You can evolve her for 1, and then when she comes into play, you put a puppet to your EX area. So here we are with puppets again. So we haven't seen anything in the Forestcraft line for puppets yet, but I do have a great feeling that there's going to be like a puppet master in the neutral class once we finally get to it. Alright, so then we have Flower Doll Evolved. So her last words is you choose a puppet follower from your graveyard and put it to your hand. So I'm not 100% sure if she's able to get herself out of the cemetery, but I know Automaton Soldier is probably a puppet since he plays puppets from his fanfare. So you can definitely get that card out of your cemetery, but I'm not 100% sure if Flower Doll is able to. Alright, and we have our first legendary. We have Azuria, Omen of Unkilling. He's a 5-cost 4/4. You can evolve him for 1, and then when he comes into play, if there are 3 or more Hunter cards in your graveyard, you choose a follower from the enemy field, and it becomes an amulet card. Give it activate 2 play points, put this card to the graveyard. Alright, so why is this card in Forestcraft? This is definitely like a Medusa effect right here. You basically petrified a follower, and now your opponent has to pay 2 play points to get rid of it. So I feel like this is a very cool ability. It's really cool, but this definitely should have went to like a Medusa or some sort of Gorgon. Alright, and then we have the Azuria Omen of Unkilling Evolved. So his stats grow up to a 5/5. You can activate to engage this card to deal 6 damage to all enemy leaders with 10 or more health. Alright, so there it is with that wording of all leaders. I feel like whenever they printed these cards, or whenever they worded them, they had Glory Finder in mind for quite some time. But in regular Shadowverse Evolve play, I believe this card is going to be paired up perfectly with Silverbolt if you're able to, line it up correctly, even though you don't really get the petrified effect if you don't have any Hunters in the cemetery. But if you're going on throughout the game and then have the max amount of play points, and then going for the kill, evolving Azuria, dealing that damage through burn, and then swinging if you need to, and then Silverbolting for the rest of life is a pretty good combo in my opinion. Moving on, we have Mark of the Sixth, so it's a 1-cost quick spell, and this turn, the next time your leader would take damage, it takes no damage instead. Alright, so a question really arises, so I feel like this is probably the out to Forte in taking 7 damage. I'm actually glad to see a card like this, so your opponent just doesn't take damage at all for like that next instance of damage. It's not the whole turn, it's not the whole turn. It's just the next instance of damage. So my opponent swings with Forte, I use this card and I don't take 7. That's pretty good. Now, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm thinking of it the right way. Alright, and then we have our 2-cost spell, Mark of the Unkilling. So you choose a follower from the enemy field, you deal X damage to it. X is equal to the chosen follower's health minus 1. And if there are 3 or more hunter cards in your graveyard, you draw a card. So if I'm reading this right, you essentially pay 2 to just remove a card off the field. It just doesn't target cards with War, of course, and then if you have 3 cards in your cemetery that being hunter cards, you draw a card, but you essentially, if that card had any sort of like +1 buff, you essentially just removed a card off the field. So I think that's a pretty good card to have in your deck. Alright, and next up we have Mechanical Bowman, so she's a 4-cost 4/4. When she comes into play, you banish a card from your EX area, and then you choose a follower from the enemy field and deal 5 damage to it. So far we haven't seen a real good use for those puppet followers, so if they're sitting in our EX area and we need to play Mechanical Bowman to deal 5 damage to something, I feel like that's a pretty good card to get out of your EX area to do 5 damage. Okay, and then we have Morton the Manipulator, so he's a 3-cost 3/3, and at the start of your end phase, an enemy player chooses one of the following effects. They're unable to draw a card in the next start phase, they're unable to add 1 max play point in the next start phase, or they're unable to play followers in the next main phase. Alrighty, so the question arises for Glory Finder. So if I'm the intern player, does the person that goes right next to me get to choose one of the following for them? Or does the person after them get to choose? It doesn't really designate what kind of enemy player it is, it just says enemy player. But I'm just gonna go ahead and assume it's the player that's going in the next exact turn, and they get to pick their poison. So I kind of like taxes in a way for card games, of course. So you basically get to pick your poison. Most people are probably just going to choose option 1, because, you know, losing a play point, max play point, or losing, you know, followers in your turn is absolutely a no-go. And we have Servant of Unkilling. She's a 1-cost 2/2, a pretty cute follower. When she comes into play, if there are 3 or more hunter cards in your graveyard, you add 2 to your leader's health. So it looks like most of these hunter cards really rely on 3 hunter cards being in your cemetery. And then cards like this where you add 2 to your leader's health, I feel like using this card along with Ancient Elf is pretty good. I don't know if Ancient Elf off the top of my head is a hunter as well, I highly doubt it. But if she is, then that really makes this deck even a lot better. Alright, so moving on, we have Spinaria, Keeper of Enigma. She's a 5-cost 3/5. She has Ward, and then when she comes into play, you look at the top 4 cards of your deck. Among them, you may reveal up to 1 elf follower and up to 1 elf spell and put them to your hand. Put the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order, and then if you have combo 3, you can restore 3 play points. And look at that, we have another combo card for the books, and even more so, you can recover 3 play points on the combo 3, you search for the elf follower, Ancient Elf, and then you're able to do more combo things, so I like that for Spinaria. Okay, and we have Vengeful Puppeteer Noah, so he's a 5-cost 3/6. You can evolve him for 2, and when a puppet comes to your field, you give it +1 and Storm, and then when he comes into play, you put 2 puppets into your EX area. So this looks like the follower that's going to be bringing the puppet lines together outside of neutral followers. So I feel like puppet doesn't just mean the tokens that's in your EX area. I feel like that might be puppets in general, which might be really cool. I don't know if Flower Doll is a puppet follower, but I know the Automaton Soldier is a puppet follower, so I really don't know what it means in terms of puppet, so I'm going to assume that it's the tokens, of course, but it really arises the question, does it also target the followers as well? Alright, and then we have Vengeful Puppeteer Evolve. So as long as this is in your field, when you play puppets, subtract 1 from its cost, and when a puppet comes to your field, give it +1 and Storm. Yeah, so like I said before, this card looks like it's going to be bringing the puppet line together. Outside of that, it really gives me some Ancient Alchemist vibes, realistically, because you put those puppets into your EX area, they don't have a cost. You're able to play them, and they have Storm. Unfortunately, they don't swing for 3 or burn for 3 like Ancient Alchemist does, but it does really do some really cool things for puppets. Alrighty, and lastly, we were looking at the Uzuria Altite Ultra Rare, and it's the evolved form. He looks really cool. I hope everyone's able to pull maybe 1 copy of him, or a copy of the card that they need, Ultra Rare that is, and best of luck to you with your pullings in set 5. Well, alright guys, thank you for watching. That is the end of the video. Let me know what your favorite card is, what set you're excited for Forestcraft, or whatever in set 5 you're looking forward to. Let me know in the comments down below. I love you guys, and I love when you interact with me. Alright guys, make sure you're safe in whatever you do tonight, and safe whatever you do for the rest of the year. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.